Let me know if there's any tech issues. Okay, I see a thumbs up, a virtual thumbs up. Thank you. Great. So I'll be talking to you about Geo4Dev, which is a sort of an open source repository that SIGA has put together with our partners, New Light Technologies and 3IE, with the hopes of basically making it a lot easier for folks working on global development questions to incorporate geospatial data and analysis into the practice. So to just give you a brief roadmap of what I'll be talking about, I'll briefly introduce you to SIGA, the Center for Effective Global Action, and my program, the Data Science for Development program, and then sort of go deep into what Geo4Dev hopes to do and what its value is, and then I'll do a quick demonstration of the website. So introduction to SIGA. SIGA is a West Coast hub for global development research based at UC Berkeley. We primarily contribute to the global development sector in four principal ways. The first is we generate evidence. So we have a faculty across 14 different disciplines at 31 universities. We have just over 160 now. We're mainly populated by economists and political scientists. I'm a political scientist, so we're very much embedded in the social sciences, but are very interested in sort of bringing in methods and data from other fields. So in particular, the introduction of Earth observation and satellite imagery, and really taking advantage of spatial variation has made good contributions to the study of what makes development work better across the world. We really care about innovation in data and methods. So once again, my program, the Data Science for Development program, is very much focused on this line, sort of incentivizing the use of unstructured data sources in standard econometric analyses. We also really care about inclusion. So I'm sure it's no surprise to many of you in this room, in this virtual room, that global development has not always been the most inclusive sector, as many of our institutions have not been historically very inclusive. So we do a lot of proactive efforts to try to remedy that historical debt. So we have a long-running fellowship program where we bring African researchers to UC Berkeley. It recently expanded to also at Northwestern University in Chicago. And the concept there is basically folks apply with a project in mind. Most of the research we fund is randomized control trials, but increasingly with observational data, we also support sort of quasi-experimental designs with using these observational data sources. So they come in with an idea, with a cool project in mind, and we plug them into classes, and they get faculty mentors. They go to graduate seminars and basically get a bunch of feedback from really smart people on how to improve their project. And then afterwards, when they leave after a semester, they get $10,000 to implement the project that they've honed over the course of the semester. So we have 65 researchers from 13 low and middle income countries that have gone through this fellowship and are now part of our network. And we also really care about supporting graduate student research. So that's also a big part of our work. One other big bucket of things that we care about is effectively sharing evidence that's generated by academics and researchers with the people that are making decisions that could potentially use that evidence and those insights to make better decisions. So we do that through a variety of ways. One of them is training. So one program that we run out of Berkeley is the Berkeley Institute for Transparent Social Science. So that's focused around sort of best practices and changing norms in the research community so that analyses are public, data is open, studies are easily reproduced, so that we all as a community have greater confidence in the evidence that's being brought to bear on different questions. And we also host a whole set of annual conferences, research roundtables, and trainings reaching thousands of people every year. So if you're curious to learn more or want to be updated, I just dropped in the chat how you can sign up for some of our newsletters. So I encourage you to do that if some of these things sound interesting to you. So just to talk about my program really briefly before I jump into Geo for Dev, my program does three main principal sort of activities. The first is research. So we support researchers developing either new data science tools or testing new models to improve different programs and policies. So a concrete example I can give you is we funded a tool called Mosaics. I'll drop the link also in the chat there. You have to copy paste it, unfortunately. We funded a research team to create an API for this tool called Mosaics. It's essentially a sort of a black box way to get structured data from satellite imagery. So if you go onto this API and you plug in sort of, I want features, satellite image features for this area, it'll spit out essentially a table of features by latitude and longitude, and then you can sort of do a spatial merge with your observed data and then use those features to either predict out of sample, so expand the spatial coverage of whatever observed data you have, or you can also use it to increase the spatial resolution of observed data that you might have, ground truth data. We also really care about community building. So we host an annual conference every year called Measuring Development with the World Bank. This is in Washington, D.C. And that convening basically features sort of the frontier of measurement either within a particular sector. So last year we did it on climate change, or we sort of switch off between a sector, what we call a sector, which is sort of a substantive area, and sort of a more conceptual like type of data or type of analysis that seems really interesting. So this year, for example, on this sort of more conceptual vein, where the Measure Dev will be focused on generative AI, large language models, and sort of at the text analysis and the types of things that are being done with those tools to, again, inform global development practice. And then finally, the other thing that we really care about is training, right? So we developed this tool, Geo for Dev. So I highlighted it here to sort of situate this within the broader work of the portfolio. But another area of work that we're really excited to build out is we're in the process of fundraising for essentially setting up a data lab, we're calling, with one of our partners in Togo with a ministry there. And the goal there is basically to send postdocs from Berkeley to work directly with a data science team embedded within the Togolese government to work with them to co-create solutions to particular challenges, data challenges that they have, in order to transfer capacity to local actors, essentially, so that they can take advantage of these tools and data types. Great. So, and also, if you have any questions as I'm speaking, I'm very happy to be interrupted. So just unmute yourself and intervene if you wish. So to go into Geo for Dev, the goal here, right, aligned with sort of what SIGA is all about, is how can we democratize access to georeference data and geospatial analysis? So everything that we do, all of our data products are completely open source. So they're free. You can immediately access, for example, Mosaics. We have a couple of harmonized data platforms, which I'm happy to share as well. So we're very much focused on providing public goods that can further catalyze sort of innovation and knowledge generation for the public good. The idea here was to centralize learning resources into a single repository. So the website has a data library, and it has 6 different learning modules that sort of take you through the analysis from different social science academic studies that leverage geospatial analysis to gain new insights into different questions. And we also provide in-person trainings, but we're aspirationally thinking of switching into a virtual format soon. So to give you sort of a visual representation, this is our last in-person workshop here in the East Bay. This is Joel is giving a demonstration of our most recent module on predicting crop yields using historical yield data from some maize trials in Africa, and sort of using satellite imagery to then expand from that. So without further ado, I wanted to just show you the website. So I included here a QR code if you're using a cell phone, or you can just go to the website here, the number 4.dev. I will exit out of here, and hopefully you can still see my browser. So this is what the website looks like. If you want to check out what kind of data we have, you go here to library. We also have a bunch of sort of academic literature that's been uploaded here. So it is a literal library in that sense, but it's also a data library. So you can go down here to data sets on content type. There's 16 different data sets, and you can just sort of browse here. And again, the point is just to make it a lot easier for everyone to just go on this website and quickly sort of find the type of data that you might want. Georeference data, of course. You also, if you're curious to check out our learning resources, there's this training tab where, again, here are sort of like the different modules that we've developed that speak to particular approaches and types of analysis. So there's a satellite crop type mapping module. There's how you can use remote sensing for impact evaluation. So how do you do causal inference with remotely sensed data? There's this population weighted wealth map module is great. And this is actually one of the few ones that if you click through actually has a video embedded in it. And then finally, I'll share this in the chat as well. This is sort of our last iteration of our learning modules. It's I see I sent it accidentally to the, oops, sorry. There we go. Aha, I think now it's gotten to everyone. So we switched over to Google Colab, which is really great because you can sort of avoid all the hangups that you might get from folks computing on their local machines. And this will just take you sort of guide you through the creating a model using this yield data from Africa and satellite imagery source from Google Earth Engine to build a model that can then predict yields in other places. So I'll leave it at that, and I'm happy to answer any questions folks might have about Geo4Dev or SIGA or anything else that I mentioned in the presentation. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to y'all.